Battlefield 6 didn't just sell 7 million copies. It sold gamers a promise finally kept. EA, the studio everyone had written off after Battlefield 2042, just pulled off the biggest redemption move in modern shooter history. They did what Activision couldn't, made a first-person shooter that feels alive again. Players didn't buy Battlefield 6 because of brand loyalty or nostalgia. They bought it because it actually listened. And that's something the gaming industry has been terrible at doing lately. Over half those sales came from PC alone, proving hardcore players are returning home. Let's unpack how EA pulled this off, and why it's changing the entire FPS landscape. For years, EA was the villain of gaming. Every launch felt rushed, every update felt forced, and Battlefield 2042 became the poster child of missed potential. Players called it lifeless, a chaos simulator that forgot about teamwork. The community stopped believing EA could make a true Battlefield again. But Battlefield 6 changed that overnight. It wasn't hype, it was hope fulfilled. Instead of repeating the same mistakes, EA gave players exactly what they'd been asking for: a solid, complete, and confident game. Day one servers actually worked. Bugs existed, sure, but not game-breaking ones. The result? A stable launch, record player counts, and memes that celebrated gameplay instead of mocking it. Reports show over 2.5 million active PC players daily, something unheard of for a modern multiplayer title just a week after launch. The curve isn't dropping either. Engagement remains consistent because people want to keep playing. That flat, daily user curve means one thing: they nailed the core loop. It's the most fun Battlefield has been in a decade. No half-baked gimmicks, just destruction, freedom, and scale. For once, EA didn't chase trends. They didn't copy mechanics from battle royales or shoehorn hero classes into the sandbox. They returned to Battlefield's identity: large-scale warfare, physics-driven chaos, and genuine teamwork. Tanks rolling through collapsing buildings, squads improvising under fire, all those moments that make Battlefield unique are back. Meanwhile, Call of Duty continues the same loop, reselling nostalgia as innovation. Every new COD feels algorithm-built, safe, and sterile. Battlefield's success shouts one clear message: players are tired of recycled formulas. EA finally learned that the biggest flex isn't a new monetization scheme, it's listening to your community. And this time, that lesson turned into 7 million copies sold in 5 days. Battlefield didn't just win financially, it reclaimed its identity. Here's the truth: the modern FPS genre became boring. Every shooter looks the same, sounds the same, and asks you for another battle pass within 5 minutes. The identity crisis of the genre reached peak saturation when Call of Duty blurred into its own marketing cycle. Players didn't feel inspired to play. They felt obligated. Battlefield 6's success erupted precisely because it rejected all of that. This wasn't luck. It was rebellion. People were desperate for a shooter that felt real again. Not realistic in graphics, but in soul. Battlefield offered that escape from the manufactured meta. It gave players agency. You hop into a match, blow up half the map, coordinate with your squad, and every second feels unpredictable. That unpredictability is the antidote to the perfect, over-tested balance COD has become trapped in. Almost half of Battlefield 6's PC players didn't even own 2042. That stat tells you everything. Old fans came home, and new ones arrived tired of cookie-cutter design. The audience wasn't chasing graphics. They were chasing authenticity. Even the sales numbers reflect that. Steam accounted for 56.7% of total sales. A clear signal that core PC players wanted a real shooter experience again, not another console-first rehash. What sold Battlefield 6 wasn't marketing. It was trust, rebuilt from the ground up. The formula worked because it respected players. No half-functioning AI soldiers, no over-designed progression loops, no mandatory attachments locked behind microtransactions. Just pure, satisfying challenge. The kind that rewards skill and creativity more than grind. Players responded to honesty in a market addicted to manipulation. Think back a few years. Remember when everyone said large-scale warfare was dead after 2042? That no one wanted 128-player chaos anymore? EA listened to that criticism carefully, and then quietly decided to prove everyone wrong. They rebuilt the tech, refined the chaos, and balanced spectacle with strategy. No apology tours, no influencer-driven hype cycle to rescue reputation. They simply released a polished, complete product that spoke for itself. Players didn't reward polished graphics this time. They rewarded accountability. Battlefield promised to bring back that only in Battlefield energy, and this time, it actually delivered. Players noticed. Reviewers noticed. Even former COD streamers started switching sides, streaming massive destruction moments that COD's arena gameplay just can't replicate. Meanwhile, Call of Duty feels more and more trapped inside its own shell. Its annual cycle leaves no space for risk-taking or surprise. Every release feels like a corporate iteration, not a creative leap. The irony is that Call of Duty invented the blockbuster shooter concept, but its own mechanics now feel restrained, like watching an algorithm guess what fun looks like. Battlefield 6 succeeded precisely because it didn't force engagement. It gave control back to players, control over pace, over fights, over outcomes. You can't manufacture that feeling in a spreadsheet. Genuine chaos, authentic teamwork, real loss and victory, those moments are earned organically, not programmed for retention metrics. The cultural shift happening right now is massive. Battlefield 6 didn't just outperform, it rewired expectations of what a modern shooter should be. Suddenly, you see forums full of COD veterans admitting they're having more fun again. That conversation didn't happen after 2042. It's happening now, because Battlefield 6 isn't pretending to be a service. It's a complete, confident game. The deeper message behind its success is rebellion. Not against COD as a competitor, but against the design philosophy COD has come to represent. Infinite progression systems, cross-season unlocks, artificial skill-based matchmaking, they're not player-focused, they're retention traps. Battlefield flipped that on its head by making fun its primary system. You drop in, play a few matches, laugh as the map collapses, high-five your squad, log off, satisfied. That's sustainable fun, not forced retention. 7 million players chose that over daily grinds and endless unlock tiers. They didn't just buy a game. They voted with their wallets for a different kind of FPS future. And maybe the biggest takeaway here is that this rebellion didn't come from a new indie challenger. It came from EA, the company that used to represent everything wrong with AAA gaming. If EA can change course and prove that listening pays off, what excuse does Activision have left? Battlefield 6 isn't just a comeback story. It's the success of integrity over inertia. EA's success with Battlefield 6 says something the whole industry has been scared to admit. Players are tired of being managed instead of entertained. This wasn't just a solid launch, it was a shockwave. A game that ignored the live service playbook and still hit $350 million in revenue in under a week. That doesn't just happen because of marketing. It happens because people recognized authenticity the second they booted it up. The numbers tell a clear story. 7 million copies in 5 days, more than half on PC. That alone breaks the myth that only console-first shooters can dominate. But here's the real kicker. The sentiment online is almost universally positive. Players aren't asking for fixes or apologies. They're sharing clips, coordinating community events, and recommending the game out of genuine enthusiasm. It's the kind of grassroots buzz that Activision used to enjoy in the early Modern Warfare era, before battle passes turned excitement into obligation. Battlefield's success exposes a turning point. We've hit the limit of extraction shooters, endless grinds, and trendy game modes that dissolve 6 months after launch. People still want multiplayer chaos, but they also want meaning in that chaos. They want to feel like their time isn't being monetized every 30 seconds. That's the crucial difference between Battlefield 6 and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. One respects your time, the other rents it back to you. What EA figured out, maybe accidentally, is that gamers no longer reward effort signals, promises of live roadmaps, cinematic trailers, or influencer packages. They reward end results. The moment-to-moment joy now carries more weight than any 10-year plan. It's no coincidence that the other big hits of the year, Helldivers 2, Palworld, and Battlefield 6, share one simple trait. They hand control back to the player. Not figuratively, literally. You can break things, mess up missions, make improvisation part of the fun again. That's what authenticity means here. Meanwhile, Call of Duty keeps doubling down on retention tactics masked as innovation. A 30-minute tutorial for the Battle Pass? Really? When players are spending that same time in Battlefield blowing up a skyscraper just for the chaos of it? You can practically feel the disconnect between publisher expectations and player energy. If nothing else, EA just set a new benchmark. Quality and consistency will always outlast compulsion systems. For years, people thought AAA equals exploitation. Battlefield 6 cracked that formula by proving the opposite. That a publisher can win back trust by focusing on what used to matter. Gameplay first. The win isn't just commercial, it's cultural. And that's why other studios are quietly taking notes. Which brings us to the bigger picture. This wasn't just EA's redemption story, it's the FPS community reclaiming agency. Shooters stopped being about competition and started being about consumption. And players finally said, enough. Battlefield 6 gave them a world they could influence again, not just a product they could rent. It reminded everyone what freedom inside a game actually feels like. Battlefield 6 didn't simply succeed. It restored a lost connection between developer and player. 7 million sales in 5 days only happened because EA decided to build something honest, complete, and proudly itself. After years of damage control, that's a miracle no algorithm could fabricate. Maybe Activision can still course-correct, but it's hard to ignore the shift. Players voted for creativity over conformity, and Battlefield carried that banner higher than anyone expected. The next phase of FPS games depends on who learns from this moment. So now it's your turn. Is this the dawn of a true FPS renaissance, or just the collapse of an overstretched empire? Drop your take below and tell me what Battlefield got right that Call of Duty forgot. And if you want more straight-cut analysis that actually cuts through the marketing fog, hit subscribe. Big studios love to say they're reinventing shooters, but lately, EA's the only one proving it.